All right, going to look at 4 titles that I read. I did read more than 4, but I'll get to those other comics at a later date. So, beginning with Action Comics. Yes, the title that began the superhero comic world from the get-go, you know. A Dark Mirror. Hey, is that Superman taking on his evil self? No. It's just some guy who stole his powers and his costume. Spoiler, it's magic. That's what it is. So you got Clark Kent being beaten by seemingly Superman. So therefore, the secret identity is safe, and a good thing, because remember, if you remember that Clark Kent is Superman, you suffer a severe stroke, and you could die from it. So, but eventually, Clark outfoxes this guy and defeats him, and here's the mysterious bracelet that had all this green stuff on it, and I thought, oh, is it kryptonite of some sort? How were they doing this to take Superman's powers and and replicate him here? But it does have this sort of kind of magic design. Boy, it almost looks like Doctor Strange's Eye of Agamotto thing, or his window, rather, for the Sanctum Sanctorum. So, but no, it's not Doctor Strange, obviously. But it is magic. Here we see the mysterious woman who leads the Blue Earth movement, who are all, paranoid about aliens and alien influence and whatnot. And, she's got a little study here, and look who's sitting here. It's Etrigan the Demon, and I assume it really is actually him and not some weird statue that she just keeps for reasons. No, he appears to be in some sort of shackles and whatnot. So magic is afoot, and of course Superman is famously very vulnerable to magical powers. He doesn't do well against those. So those are really small chairs. That's anyway, she goes to this pool of green glowing liquid and communicates with somebody. Who are her masters and whatnot. So we'll see how that goes. It ends on Superman needing help from Steel, because his powers are still greatly diminished. And so he's got to dress up like a knight in the steel armor. And so I guess they'll do an issue of him doing that. And, it's just one of those things they always do in superhero comics. And Action Comics should be, since it originally was an anthology title, and they go back to that from time to time. Other times it's just a solid Superman story and that sort of thing. But I always preferred it when they did have backup stories. And sometimes the backup stories aren't that great. This issue is hurting because they've concluded the story that Jurgens and Lee Weeks did of when Superman was, in his black suit living on the farm with Lois and their son. And it just goes to show you how bad things have gotten for that family dynamic that they created, and just only briefly allowed it to live and didn't let it breathe, and then destroyed it with hiring Brian Michael Bendis. I think they should just ignore everything Bendis did and go back to that, and have Jonathan Kent be, the 10-year-old or whatever age he was at the time. But it was a great little simple run. And the other stories didn't match up at all. I mean, especially the Steel stories, the art was terrible. The Power Girl story was the worst. Thankfully, those are gone. Off to their own titles. We'll see how that goes, huh? And now we have this, which delves into the Superman family, which I haven't really warmed up to just as of yet. It's too cluttered. But within Action Comics, and they get their own little backup stories and stuff, I think that'd be the better way of handling it, rather than having them constantly having the Superman team dealing with things. and then it's Superman becomes a supporting character in his own story. That's just inevitable. This has happened in The Flash as well, and it clutters the title. I don't think it's a good idea. So anyway, but here we are. So we have the Connor Kent Superboy, the two kids from Warworld, dealing with this idiot, and Supergirl. The story in and of itself is not too bad, and the best part about it is that it links up to the consequences of this deal that Lex Luthor did, which erased the knowledge that Clark Kent is Superman from most of the world. You know, the Justice League remembers it, of course. The Super Family remembers. Lois Lane does. All that, but the average person on the planet doesn't. And one of those is the Chinese Superman. And, he finds out about it, and there's severe consequences. So at first I was kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of a silly story of them all and this sort of thing. But I got to tell you, that was an intriguing ending for this story. So pretty good. You know, I'll see where it goes and how they resolve this. But so that's a win for Superman family, at least in this little tale. So the final one is it's a cute story, and it's meant to be cute and stuff. Bibbo is babysitting the Super Twins and takes them to see a parade. And of course, they're alien; they've never seen anything like this. They're confused and whatnot, and all kinds of crazy hijinks ensue, as to be expected, and it's fine. And I wasn't blown away by it or anything like that, but I mean, in comparison to the previous offerings they've had in here, in action, it was much better than that. And I assume this is just a little one-shot thing. I don't think it goes anywhere after this, but which is fine. So we'll see what they do for the backup stories and the next issue of Action. But all in all, not a bad issue of Action Comics. It's pretty good, actually. So that's nice. I still miss the Superman, the original Superman family of Superman and Lois and their son from that era. Maybe they'll revisit it at a later date. I don't know. But again, it just all it does is remind you of, boy, you really messed up with this prematurely aging Jonathan Kent and all that stuff, and then seemingly replacing him with these two adopted kids from Warworld. So they probably won't revisit, which is unfortunate. But it was a good team. Dan Jurgens, I think, should be given Superman. I think he does a much better job with the character, and that little setup there was what they should have stayed with, for the overall approach to Superman. But alas, they didn't. Meanwhile, what's Batman up to? Well, I've checked out quite a bit. I wasn't impressed with Chip Zdarsky, and then hearing about the details of Gotham War, no interest in that idiocy. So now there's this new title, another Batman and Robin title, and I thought, it's somewhat separate from that. It takes place in the same continuity and all that, but still, it's got its own storyline. So, all right, was okay with the first issue, and so I'm gonna see how this goes. And this one is okay. And I think Action's a little better than this one. But, like it okay between the two. And it's just Batman wants Damian to go to school. He does, reluctantly. This just isn't going to work. And then he meets Flash Thompson. No, he gets a bully. The guy makes fun of him. And, you can imagine what happened in the next page. I won't show you, but it's Damian, so guess what's going to become of this guy. So he has enough of school, jumps into the Robin suit, and goes back to dealing with the crime problem that they're having with Batman got infected with some sort of pheromone that attracts bats to attack him. But he's Batman. That's not going to keep him down. So they both end up investigating this business of the White Rabbit, who is now getting abducted from the police and all this sort of stuff, and who's behind this and what's going on. But anyway, Batman, you should be at school, and you should be resting. So they're both playing hooky, but father like son, you know. So they catch up with this the Shush, the female Hush. Yeah, I know, but look. It's not like Hush, you know. It's a new character, you know. I assume, unless we're going to reveal that, you know. But anyway, then you have the people who used to wear animal masks, and now they're actual animal hybrids. How about that, you know? The wolf guy looks cool. I don't know about Shark here, and oh boy, did this guy get the short straw, huh? So they've kidnapped the White Rabbit, and Batman and Robin are like, oh no, now what do we do? And what's and it's a basic superhero comic book, and it's got its silliness here and there, but it's handled well to not take away from the seriousness of the problems they're dealing with. And of course, the father-son dynamic is explored here between the two, and all of that. And it's fine. It's pretty good. But here they end on the 60s Batman ending. Oh no! Are the dynamic duo late to save the White Rabbit? Will they learn Shush's identity? Tune in next month to see if... And then somebody gets shot. So, you know, uh-oh. Is that the end of White Rabbit, or one of the members of the dynamic duo? So, you know, same comic book title, something. So, I liked it. Okay. As I said, I think action did better, but, so I guess I'm in for this one for the foreseeable future. The next issue could totally destroy that, and then I'll drop it, but, you know, we'll see how that goes. Not interested in Gotham War. I have heard that Detective Comics might be turning a page after that crap. So maybe I'll delve into that and see what's what. But Batman and Robin so far, 2 issues in, of course, so far so good. Well, the beautiful madness that is Mark Millar continues in Big Game, which is a crossover series of all his creations. And did you ever think you'd see Hit Girl taking on some, I don't know, alien warlord alongside dinosaurs in the distant past? Well, that's what you get here. And then after tackling dinosaurs, she has to deal with the princess here of the alien warlord. It turns out there was this super duper pooper scooper advanced society ruling over the earth in the prehistoric past. Well, it's all forgotten now because I don't remember that. Do you? No. So Hit Girl has to deal with this and try to figure out a way to get back or whatnot. And then here's the dark side looking dude ruling over everything. There's some soap opera intrigue going on off to the side as well. I don't know. And I don't know if like Chrononauts or something. I'm not familiar with this character. I didn't read Chrononauts. It's one of the titles I hadn't, I've read most of them that he's done, but I hadn't gotten to that one. And, but then again, he's not familiar with the Chrononaut corpse that Hit Girl used to escape by traveling into the past. So I don't know if this could be spun off into its own title if Mark Millar so choose. But the ramifications of this is it's made him aware that in the future he's all but forgotten. And, well, he can't have that. Meanwhile, back in the future, the supervillains are prevailing yet again. Another meeting of superheroes saying, hey, what's going on? A lot of us are being wiped out, and they're on this super duper pooper scooper aircraft carrier. Well, I won't show you, but once again, it's another slaughter. And the villains are feeling, we got things under control. And then, well, a blast from the past shows up to show them who's really boss. And so now you've got a massive invasion on your hands from that prehistoric warlord or overlord or emperor or whatever he is. The magic order is still there as well, but they're like, well, this is technically not magic, so we can't get involved, rules and whatnot. How long is that going to last? So it's a rollicking ride. I don't know where it's going. Are these deaths permanent? Well, superhero, sci-fi, magic involved at some point. Probably not. But boy, does this guy know how to write an entertaining one of these event crossovers, and he's doing it with his own property, so of course he's got free reign there. But it blows away all the other idiot events, which are just too many. Over the years, it's like it used to, you would have one every other year or so, but then it became like every summer had to have one. Now it's every 5 minutes. Marvel and DC are doing some crossover event. So it burned out the whole concept. And yet here comes Mark Miller with, of course, his own original properties and doing something like that. And it's just fun. That must be the key ingredient, It must be. Well, of course, I saved the best for last with Conan the Barbarian, issue number 4. And this concludes at least this particular adventure. Or does it? Yeah. But anyway, I understand people being sick of superheroes and burned out on it and stuff. So, but you still like the medium? Well, then this is for you. This is easily one of the best titles available. It even tops World's Finest, which I gave so much praise to. It's just the art is glorious, and it's very respectful of the art that made Conan in the early Marvel days and whatnot with Buscema. It's just so good. Here, it ended with Conan falling into that pool, and then he has some strange vision with ghosts and whatnot, and you get a backstory of the evil forces and what happened here. And it's all very well done, and I don't really want to spoil any of it. I'm just giving you an overview of the spectacular art, and the story coincides with it. It's just glorious stuff, and I hope it can continue. I hope this team stays together working on this for years and years. And you just can't beat it. And it's just true to form Conan. So all praise to Titan and their efforts of producing this. It deserves a lot of attention because this is excellent work, and can't praise it enough. Finally, I thought I'd end on this article from Bounding into Comics, written by Phil Boyle, who, it says at the bottom here, he runs a comic book store, and he's talking absolute truth on the industry and how this is affecting the retailers. So, editor's note, Phil Boyle, the author of this article, is the proprietor of Coliseum of Comics in Orlando, Florida. So there you go. And it's like, we're hanging on by our fingernails on the edge of the cliff here of what's happened to the industry and how they've gutted it. And I do recommend the article and go check it out. But it's a rather brief one, but it gets right to the point of what happened. And, the idiocy of variant covers and all this sort of thing that they're doing, and then not reinvesting into the industry itself, and just somehow thinking that's going to continue. But one of the things here that he does touch on, which is also very true, he says, where did it go off the rails? It's not such a conundrum to anyone with 2 active brain cells and a list of back issues they need to complete their runs. Comics, first and foremost, have always been entertainment. Sure, collectible entertainment, which justifies the cost to entertainment ratio. But along the way, the immediate sale and false bolstering of numbers through variant covers, convoluted events, and incessant reboots left the considerations of the fans behind. Character swapping, gender bending, and changing sexual orientation of beloved characters fell flat with the Wednesday Warriors, who supported the industry for decades. The crowd of new readers that changes were meant to attract didn't translate to a one-for-one swap, leaving a declining customer base. Yeah, you ran off the customer base you had with the promise that this new audience, which I assume you thought would be larger, would come in. And it would all be well worth it. It never manifested itself. Not at all. And, so he pretty much, that's it right there, And of course you can apply that to television and films as well and all that. And he goes into the depths of the covers. There's this, I never, ever liked variant covers. I'm so sick of that crap. And this is a couple of decades old now. They keep doing this. That's a cool image and great and stuff. They just make that the cover. But the problem is that does this represent what happened? I don't know in this specific issue. Did that happen in it? Okay, fine. But that's another thing. You would just slap on it. A lot of them, it goes on. A lot of them are just like convention sketches the artist did, and they'll slap that in there. No. So he goes into a list of what to do to try to right the ship here. And he puts the line at $3.99 is about as far as you can go for the cover price. And of course, he would rather it be $2.99, but of course, in inflation, $3.99 is probably your best bet. Trying to go beyond that, it just kills it. Get rid of the dumb variant covers. Get actual editors. They haven't had any in I don't know how long. And then, of course, you got to have professional artists, not these amateurs. You can't have a great looking cover and then fill it up with this barely drawn crap. Not going to work. Yeah, but you got to pay them. I know. Yeah. The characters are iconic for a reason. The movies never got traction until they learned what made the characters decades-long successes. Change is good for story, but inevitably you need to touch base with what brought them. Gender swap, sexual orientation, change out. Yeah, exactly. Same thing. Enough of that. Tell the stories without proselytizing. No more sermons. Yes. Limited new characters. And it's a tough thing to introduce a new character. I don't, say it's a bad thing overall. And of course not. But just to throw them in to say, look, I did this, and then they don't go anywhere. The shoehorned in, as he says, for a bump and sell. No, gimmicky crap like that. The effort to try it here and there, I can understand, but at this point, just don't. Because you don't have the ability to weave them in, and there's not an appetite for it. You're going to have to grow that back. You've got to restore your mainstays, and then at future times you can weave new characters in, which can help them get a start, and maybe they'll take off. It used to be that way, hasn't of late. I'd ask for a minimum advertised price, but we're not in that world anymore. You made deals with the devil, which is awesome. Yeah. Discount and shipping. More of these, you screwed the market. So this is more about the retailers and what they have to deal with. And, obviously, we would, yield to his expertise on that. So no doubt about it. He says, no, you can't. So you can't just screw the direct market the way they appear to be. We're just going to abandon it and you can sell online. And it's like, well, that hasn't manifested itself either. So, should probably listen to the man. Set a minimum for each title by store. Yeah, okay. He's going more into the business side of it. But can't argue with it. And I think there's a lot here to look to. the only question is this already too late? And it looks like it is. Aside from another potential buyer coming in, or the outsourcing model of the titles, and that person coming in and looking at this and deciding, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to concentrate on Superman and Batman, and, that's about it. Marvel, Spider-Man, some X-Men, and, it's Peter Parker, Spider-Man, and that sort of thing. Stop playing around with all the above, gender swapping, race swapping, what have you, and try to shore up the thing in the hope that you can grow it again. Because right now, fingernails on the edge of the cliff may have already fallen. Well, time will tell. Don't really see anybody, at least from the two companies, approaching this. Another voice to listen to is Mark Miller again, who suggested they get the veteran writers to come in and take over these titles, streamline them down, so you can afford to pay these guys what they're worth, and for God's sakes, try that, in the hopes that could attract people back. Because you need your customer base that you kicked out the door. You need them back, and so you can build on something. But is anyone listening? Probably not. So good on Mr. Boyle here, and I'll put the article in the description below. And but again, I wholeheartedly agree with him, but I'm not the one who needs to see this, or at least listen to it and understand it. And that's the problem. Anyway, there we go. I'll talk to you about some other comics I read next week for another episode of Mr. Nailsin's Wednesday Comics.